My name is Ron Gibson. I'm 74. My father and mother met on Blackall Beach. My father at the time was about 30 years old and my mother was only 15 years old. She was down there visiting her grandmother, and I remember her telling me the story. She was walking along the beach with her grandmother and she saw this fishing couple coming in. So the grandmother said, "Oh, this is Gip. I'll introduce you to him. He lives on the beach." So he's just pulling his fishing cobble in, and all the people on the beach used to come with the big dishes to get a pennyworth of fish on them. And anyway, I introduced them and they chatted a little bit. And then my mum said, as they walked off, she said, I couldn't resist it but look over my shoulder. And she says he smiled and winked. So that was the beginning. And she told me, my mum, like she says, the grandmother said, "Gip, if you're gonna go out with her mind, you treat her right. I'll take care of her," he said. Anyway, within a year they were married, and she had my first brother, the one that's still alive in Wales now, our Tom. She had him when she was 16-year-old, living on the beach. And like I told you earlier, my dad was a jack the lad, and he got up to all kinds of mischief. One of the stories I heard, you recall the people from Hartlepool used to come up with the push bikes in the 20s and 30s to get sea coal off the beach. And my dad had bought this big fur monkey for the little boy, Tom, and he hung it on the clothesline. Now I think you know the story behind who hung the monkey. And my mum told me, she says, there was absolute hell on. She says, as the lads from Hartlepool would come past pushing their bikes with the coal on, they would stop and they were throwing bricks at the monkey out on the clothesline. My dad was hiding behind the shack having a good laugh. But that was the sort of things he used to get up to. And it was nothing for him as an individual to pick 3, 4, 5 bags of coal himself and push them all the way to Hunton Henry off Blackall Beach. I know it sounds unbelievable, but it's true, I can assure you, because he didn't tell me. My mum told me, and friends of his told me what he used to do. And he would, if the weather was right, he would push his fishing cobble out, up to his chest high, climb in the boat and fish all day. And I can always remember him saying, in his latter years, he was crippled with arthritis. He says, this is with sitting wet in the boat, fishing all day, soaking wet. So they built the shack, and it was backed onto a cave. They lived in there a few years, and then they bought another shack further along off a family from what lived in Hunton Henry now. The names is on this scroll one I'm going to show you shortly. I got this given off a friend. He's dead now, a guy called Tommy Fallow from Blackall. Tommy died a few years ago, and I was sat in the Raffle Club one night because we go there for the quiz. And I was sat there one night, and Tommy said, "Hey, Gip," he says, "that'll interest you." It's strange getting called Gip now, you know, because I've been in Peterlee 46 years, and that was the nickname I had after me dad. We were all called Gip, and it was strange to hear that word Gip because I'd all been called Ron, living in Peterlee. Anyway, he gave me this scroll. The original one is here. This is the one I got printed, and it's on the back end. You know the border what goes round wallpaper, that sort of stuff, right? He gave me this and he handed it to me, and it's actually a drawing. It's a copy of let me see now. I can't find it. But this was drawn with all the houses on the beach of Blackall Rocks, between Blackall Rocks and Blackall Colliery. You've got Dead Man's Bank here, what's still there today. You've got the mortuary at the top of Dead Man's Bank. I can recall that as a young chap, the mortuary, because we used to play in there as a kid. And then you've got all what they used to call holiday homes, all the way along the beach, right as far as Blackall, where the aerial flight used to be. They used to tip the rubbish out of the coal mines. And as I say, my dad moved down there I would say in the 20s. He was born 1901 and he moved down there in the 20s, living on the beach. And some people would use these shacks as holiday homes. And then when things got really, really bad, you remember the 26 strike and all that, these people decided to live on the beach because there's nowhere for them to live. And as I've told you earlier in the story, he met my mum there, and then they started a family. My next brother to be born there was Arthur. He died just a year ago. Then Alan. Alan sadly died, it's quite a few years ago now. And then I had a brother who wasn't born on the beach. He was born where I was born, called Frank. And he was tragically killed at outside the house at Blackwall Rocks. Terrible, terrible, tragic accident it was. He fell on a broken milk bottle, and he was only 2-year-old and he was killed. But the weird thing about that story, he was killed on the 26th of June 1941, and I was born on the 26th of June 1942. And that helped my mum come to terms in some way. She thought, well, I've lost one, but he's given me another. And obviously all through her life, I was the baby and I was their special one. But getting back to the beach again, before the evictions started, there was families from all over, and they moved as far away as Bentley and that when they started getting evicted off the beach. Doncaster, Nottingham, all around them areas they moved to. And when I show you this scroll later, I'll tell you some of the names. Quite a few of them is related to me as well. And some even moved to Shotton. And then the colliery opened in 1913, I think it was, Blackwall Colliery around about that time, and the colliery houses was getting built. And some of the people moved up into the colliery houses. The reason my dad didn't move up into the colliery houses, he got sacked from the pit. Through being a naughty lad again, he was a coal putter, and instead of filling coal into the tube, he filled it with stone and put a little bit of coal on the top. This was common practice with coal putters and coal users as well. It was common practice, and you had to take that chance. If that tub of coal man had come up the pit, went onto the weighbridge, you got caught. But 9 times out of 10, they didn't weigh them, they just went straight through. Anyway, my dad got caught, and he got put in front of the colliery manager, a guy by the name of Ernie Chicken. I can remember as a young lad when I used to go bird nesting in Castle Eden Dean and Monk Esland Dean, that Ernie Chicken had a big house. It's still there today, that house, in Monk Esland. And he became the local magistrate as well, Ernie Chicken. He was manager, as I say, of the colliery, and my dad come in front of him. And this takes you back to, the days of serfdom. And I suppose that's why I'm a socialist myself, like. But he turned round and he said, "Gibson, you take your hat up in front of me." And my dad just looked at him and said, "Who the hell do you think you're talking to?" And he jumped up and he come round his desk, but he didn't get too far before my dad clipped him straight on the chin. Down he went. All hell broke loose. Secretaries and people come running in and out the other offices, get the police, arrest him, and before they got my dad out of the office, the manager said, "You'll never work in this industry again." And that's how my dad ended up on the beach, living on the beach, trying to make a living out of selling sea coal and fishing.